Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday to you. Obviously, because we're in quarantine, we're not going to be meeting tonight for Wednesday night thing. Just a couple quick announcements. Tomorrow night, Brother Scotty is going to be leading us in an online Last Supper communion. So if you can get online, check our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. I believe it's going to be at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. 7 o'clock tomorrow night, we'll do online Last Supper communion. Also Saturday morning, Miss Dana Owen is going to be at the church from 9 o'clock till 11 o'clock, handing out t-shirts. So any t-shirt that you ordered for our Easter celebration, for our Easter egg hunt, that fundraiser that we had, you can go by and pick up those t-shirts. We'll try and keep you guys corona free as possible. Throw them in your trunk or something, and limit the personal contact and all that. Sadly, the last announcement I have is that we will not be going to MFuge this summer. Lifeway canceled our week of camp, and so we will not have the opportunity to go. I'll be getting in contact with your parents and filling them in with more information. I've talked with most of them already about refunds and things like that. So I just wanted to let you guys know. I know that you're disappointed. I am disappointed too. Unfortunately, it's just kind of is what it is. But we're going to come through this stronger, and we're going to learn to not take things for granted in the future. All these things that we basically just are missing out on. Hopefully we'll develop a deeper appreciation for those things moving forward. Speaking of satisfaction and finding satisfaction in things, in the Bible, in Philippians chapter 4, verses 11 through 13, it says, I have learned, this is Paul speaking, I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I know how to be brought low. I know how to abound. In every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I remember when I was little, about Christmas time, we would look through the Christmas catalog, service merchandise, or Sears catalog would send out these massive thick things. It was filled with toys and all kinds of crazy stuff. And I remember like dog earing pages and circling things and putting my initials down, JD, because all of my brothers and sisters start with the letter J, so I had to make sure my parents knew who wanted what. And so I remember just being filled with like desire for whatever these toys were and whatever it was that I wanted around Christmas season and things like that. And of course, you guys don't do that now, I don't think. You guys probably just look things up on Amazon and create a wish list, or screenshot something and send it to your parents on text message. But let me ask you this: are you satisfied? I think if we're honest with ourselves, we could probably say that the answer is pretty obviously no. And I'm not saying that it's wrong to want things in life, but far too often we find ourselves just wanting things, but frustrated with the absence of things. The problem isn't necessarily that we just want things or that we want evil things. I think probably the most things that we want are probably inherently good or inherently harmless. But more than the wanting, we can become frustrated by the not having. We become jealous, and our lives become filled with envy and discontentment and ingratitude and bitterness. And see, while it's true that we need what we lack is not possessions. What we lack is Jesus. More particularly, what we lack is finding satisfaction in Jesus. See, when our deepest satisfaction is in Jesus, when we find that in Jesus, we protect ourselves against things like pride and arrogance when we have things, and we protect ourselves against bitterness and ingratitude when we don't have things. Everything in the world, all of its good gifts are temporary. We've seen that more now than ever, that things can be taken away in an instant. for us as Christians, these temporary gifts, these temporary good things should always remind us and point us to the giver of those gifts. And their absence should always remind us and point us to the fact that no matter what we're lacking, we always have the gift of God's presence in our life. In the verses that I read a few minutes ago, Paul is telling us about the secret to him being content, that no matter where it is and no matter what it is, our ultimate satisfaction is in Jesus, that Jesus isn't enough, that Jesus is enough. And so the question is, that goes along with the earlier question I asked you, are you satisfied? Do you find yourself satisfied? It goes hand in hand with, is Jesus enough for you? Do you believe that? Can you say that in whatever situation that you find yourself in, that you are 100% content with whatever God has brought you in, because you know that in whatever situation you're in, God will never leave you and he'll never forsake you. The fact of the matter is that Jesus is enough. But that kind of satisfaction is only going to be experienced by you when we understand, first and foremost, that our greatest problems, sin and death, were ultimately and completely erased by him. That Jesus took care of our greatest problems. And so if you aren't consistently and completely amazed and overwhelmed by the fact of what Jesus did, by his redemption, by his justification, by his continual sanctification, by the restoration that's offered by God in Jesus Christ, you will never find your ultimate satisfaction in him. God in Christ reconciled himself to us. He is renewing our minds. He promises to raise us from the dead and bring us to heaven to live eternally in peace and bliss and without coronavirus and without cancer and without blemish, without hurt, without pain. And we're going to live that way forever. And so if you have that in Christ, if God has given you that through Christ, what more do you need? The reality is that we don't. So at some point in time, we have to come to the conclusion that Jesus plus nothing equals everything. All right, so here's the challenge today. There's an old hymn called In Christ Alone. And you have to look up the Stuart Townend version, right? In Christ Alone by Stuart Townend, right? If you just type that in Google, In Christ Alone, Stuart Townend, the lyrics will come up. So what I want you to do is I want you to look up the lyrics to In Christ Alone by Stuart Townend. And I want you to handwrite those lyrics in your journal, in your prayer journal, or on a piece of paper or something like that. And I want you to pray over them. I want you to realize what God in Christ has done for you. And I want you to ask God to place a deep satisfaction of his presence and what he has done through Jesus Christ in your heart, so that he's all you ever want and that he's all you ever need. Once you're done writing out those lyrics, handwriting, don't just like copy and paste it. That's not meaningful, bro. So handwrite them, snap a picture of it, of the lyrics, and upload it to GroupMe so that you can share and inspire someone else to do the same. I love you guys so much. I miss you all. Hopefully I will get to see you soon. Bye for now.